Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to the WXYZ Weekly Sports Chat. Justin Rose along with you with Adam Strozynski and, as always, Max White.
Yeah.
Over there on the ones and twos.
Hey,
it's been a while.
Remember all that stuff, all that crap you gave me? About I went on vacation and they called me a part-timer and said I just left the webcast. Where have you been the last 2 weeks?
I have no idea what he's talking about. Do you have any idea?
Sounds like fighting words.
No.
I had to say that. I had to,
Hodor. Adam Strozynski is here from the Detroit Sports Podcast. They do a great job over there, so give them a follow at Detroit. What's this?
Detroit Podcast.
Detroit Podcast. And, of course, Adam is Adam R. S-T-R-O-Z. Give him a shout over there. But lots to talk about. We've been off for a couple of weeks. The summertime kind of does slow down, but Tigers are seemingly heating up. Seemingly is the word I'm going to use there, but they've won 6 of 7 after that 11 of 12 losing streak.
I was going to say much needed.
Much needed, sure. Yesterday's win kind of comes with an asterisk because Jordan Zimmerman pulls his groin or strains his groin or maybe tears his groin.
We'll find out more probably later today.
We'll find. Well, it's one of the three. He definitely hurt his groin. And then Miguel Cabrera took a ball off the lower part of his left leg, right below the knee. From talking to some of the players, J.D. Martinez told me that he said he was fine after they were talking in the shower. It looks like it hit him like on a nerve or something, just below the knee.
That's what they said, yeah.
I mean, maybe a bruise, but, I'm 94
It's going to hurt for a while.
Yeah, it's going to hurt for a while.
I took a softball off the shin one day as a pitcher. That hurt.
Was it a 95-mile-an-hour softball?
No, he did.
I was trying to compare.
Yeah, right?
I was the pitcher, so it was a batted ball that I took off the shin. So it actually could have been 94 miles an hour.
It could have been 94 miles. Probably wasn't.
Miggy's going to play it, though. He's not going to – I don't see him missing any time. It's one of those things. He'll ice it. He probably iced it after the 7th there and into the evening, and he's going to ice it today. He'll be fine.
Yeah. So we're also doing this new thing today. If you're watching on our the webcast on WXYZ.com, if you do follow WXYZ Detroit on Facebook, we're doing the Facebook Live dual stream today. So we're kind of all over the internet right now. You can get questions in through either format. Just type your name and your question on the WXYZ.com page, or you can comment right underneath the Facebook Live, and we'll get to a lot of your comments that are already kind of coming in right now, and I definitely appreciate that's what fuels this show. So give us your comments, questions, concerns, off-the-wall topics, whatever you want to do. We'll get to everything as we talk over the next hour or so as we continue to go on here. So let's start with the question that I kind of phrased out there, Adam, about why the Tigers are having success. 6 of 7, okay, clap, 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 clap. They lost 11 of 12, boo, 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 boo. But what's different? Is it scheduling? Is it who they've been playing? Is it because the play has gone up? What's been the main culprit here? Because there's a couple of different factors, in my opinion, that have led to the Tigers being where they are.
I think the obvious answer is Cameron Maben. Insert him into the lineup, he's the good luck charm. Next thing you know, things turn around. No, but really, I think it's scheduling. I mean, Al Avila came out and said it last week that they had one of the toughest schedules in the major leagues. That being said, you've got to win those games because we expected them to be a World Series contending team. So they've got to win against good teams, but now you're kind of getting the inverse of that, where now they're playing some of these teams aren't even 500, and they're just taking advantage of it. On top of it, I think the bats are coming alive. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things. If you ever watch this team and you go back through, the last 5 years of their history, they seem to get warm right after the first or second month, and now we're right in that window, and the bats are heating up. I mean, Miguel Cabrera is hitting the ball all over the park right now.
Seeing a beach ball.
Exactly.
That's the way I'm looking at it. He looks like he's seeing a beach ball.
And he pretty much took the first month off of the season. So I think now you're getting a little bit of that correction because baseball is one of those sports where the longer you play it, the more true the numbers become and everything kind of levels out. Like Cameron Maben's hitting 600 right now. Don't expect that to happen. He's going to go 0 for 15, over 12 at some point here. But, I mean, it's just the law of averages. The numbers will eventually even out. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing right now. I think the scheduling does help, though.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you take a look at what the schedule has been, look, you're going to get healthy against the Twins, and they're one of the worst teams in baseball.
Do they know how to swing a baseball bat?
I don't know how to swing a baseball bat. If you haven't seen my feature trying out for the minor league team in Utica. But look, the Twins, you got to take care of business against the Twins. They did so. But look, the Orioles, they're a good team. They should be a playoff team. The Nationals, they're maybe a playoff team, especially the pitching that they faced during that series. Very good. The Rangers, they probably should. I don't understand this whole thing with the Cleveland Indians, like why they can't get over the hump there.
It's their kryptonite this season.
But
it was like the Royals in, what was it, 2006. They struggled with the Royals,
Yeah.
and they ended up backing into the playoffs that season, and they ended up getting to the World Series, which was great, but for whatever reason, they had trouble with the Royals.
Well, now they got Philly coming to town, and this is a Philly team that, 25-19, so they're a little bit, they're having some success right now. They're facing a pitcher who's 5-1 against your boy Pelfrey, who has yet to win a game this year. So it'll be very interesting to see tonight. I do like how, here's where I point my finger at one of the reasons why. Sure, you can look at Maben, and I'm going to do a story tonight for the 6 o'clock news on WXYZ, interviewing Maben and some of his teammates about the impact, profound impact. I mean, look, this guy's up for the American League Player of the Week honors. He's sitting 600 over the past week. I mean, he's made some great plays, that catch in the outfield yesterday. I mean, he's the type of spark that you need. Is it going to be consistent 600? No. Let's be realistic here. But this is what the team needed, and he was a guy that was kind of brought out of nowhere. He was somewhat of a J.D. Martinez, if you will. Picked up kind of out, he was the guy that, look, he was with the Tigers in 2007, for Pete's sake. So, I mean, he's been around for a while. He understands the game. He's finding some success right now, but any spark you're going to get is a good spark. That's why when James McCann starts hitting again, spark. He hasn't been hitting. That's why when Miguel Cabrera, as the past week or two has shown us, he's starting to warm back up. He's starting to see a beach ball, and he's just cranking it. Deep center field, 430, 440, like humongous shots to center field. 2 in one weekend. I mean, okay, so he's starting to see it. Let's hope, because I've seen over and over again, the littlest injury can affect a player in the littlest way, but that littlest way takes the whole magic out of what they're doing. So the Zimmerman thing is a huge thing to watch for, because if he is out for 3-4 weeks, I mean that could be huge. If he misses one start, okay, we'll probably be okay with that.
Yeah,
but
you can sit there and you can fix the pitching staff to kind of work around that. They have
Right.
a day off, so you can kind of sub that in as his day. But you're absolutely right. He is basically the ace of the staff right now. And if he goes down, Verlander's been pitching a lot better, but after those two, you get question marks with Anibal. You said it yourself, Mike Pelfrey doesn't have a win and doesn't get the run support he probably needs. But that being said, how many runs does he really need? 7,
Right.
8? I mean, you can't go out there and ask your ball club to sit there and put up, a snowman every game.
Right.
It's just this pitching staff, it relies heavily on Jordan Zimmerman and Justin Verlander. So you need those two guys to be healthy, and you need them to do well.
Right.
Getting back to Cameron Maben, I think you're absolutely right. He does so many needs. He gets on base. He can steal bases. He can sit there and put the ball in play. I mean, yesterday he had that seeing eyeball that went right through first and second. And honestly, they were sitting about as close as we were to each other.
Squeaked through, yeah. That was crazy.
Through. So, I mean, he's doing a lot of little things really, really well right now, and it's really paying dividends.
Zach Barnes gets in at my Twitter, JRoseWXYZ. Give it a follow. Keep in touch with me throughout that. What about the fact they were underachieving and now are hitting like the team they should? I don't know if I'm ready to say that the first, they've played 3 games? Yeah, 43 games. Yep. So were they underachieving as a whole? Maybe yes, but are they overachieving now as a whole? I mean, it's the same type of thing. So to your point, there was a lot of guys hitting. The Castellanos was hitting at all-star. I mean, he still should, if he keeps some sort of pace, he should be an all-star. But he was a kind of a bright spot. JD was nothing in the first 30 games of the season. He had struggled greatly. Miguel Cabrera struggled greatly. So, I mean, if you're keying in on 1 or 2 guys like JD, like Miguel Cabrera, then yeah, they're hitting better, but because of those 2 guys. But I wouldn't say that the whole team was faltering early on in the season. I mean, they had a lot of games where they were, 8, 9, 10, 11 hit games that, were really helping them produce runs, because this team, as we've said before, is built to hit with power. If they don't hit with power, they're going to lose. The pitching is not going to win them many duels. If they're in pitching games, 2-1, 1-1, that's what scared me about the game 2 days ago. the Saturday game where McCann finally hit that 2-run shot to give him the 3-run lead.
A little too close for you.
It was too close for you. And then even 3-1. The good thing JD hit that other 2-run shot. They win 5-4. Again, your pitching is not going to win you a lot of games. So you have to put up the run support to be able to carry you through the faults on your team, which is your pitching, especially in the 6th inning. Holy smokes, we could do a documentary on the problems the Tigers have had in the 6th inning.
It's not been good.
It's not been good.
It's just, again, going into the season, we thought that Al Avila really addressed the bullpen. We thought that he made a great leaps towards solidifying that, but it's very average amongst the MLB.
Right.
And there's still weak spots in it. I mean, again, you got to have a team, again, like you said, this team is built to hit home runs. It's built to knock the ball out of the park. So if the guys in the lineup are going to do that, there's a great chance you're going to win because your pitching staff is very subpar.
Right.
So you can't lean on it. And that's kind of where we're at with it. I mean, again, JD Martinez, he's got a correction coming right now. Miguel Cabrera's got that correction coming. Victor's playing well. You know, as long as Nick Castellanos doesn't cool off a ton, I think this team's going to be A-okay. They're getting better. Right now they're playing teams that they should be beating up on, and they're doing what they have to do. If they can get into that series against the White Sox in early June and hold second place in the AL Central, they can make up a ton of ground in that 3-game series.
Yeah.
Because every one of those games counts as one game.
Right.
So it's not a half like you're playing right now. So they have a great shot to sit there and end up on top in the Central here in what, maybe 2 weeks? So it's just one of those things right now, you got to kind of wait it out a little bit.
Yeah, and that's when fans were ready to jump off the bandwagon last week, 11 and 12. Look, it wasn't going good. Brad Ausmus was on the hot seat. You know, a lot of different questions. People were filing off the bandwagon, and then everyone was like, this team is going to be. Look, I still think that this team is what it is, but baseball is a game of streaks. I mean, it's a long season. Again, we have 119 games to go, everybody. I mean, okay, so we've seen a sample size of 43 games. Are we going to think that this is how it's, and maybe this is how it's going to be, win streak, lose streak, win streak, lose streak, win streak, lose streak. You hope. And that's what differentiates the teams that make the playoffs from not, is they avoid maybe one of those long losing streaks. Because 10 games is pretty much the difference.
Yeah.
We're only 4.5 games back. The Tigers are only 4.5 games back of the AL lead, as you said. So you're right. When you look at the schedule, you know, in June 3rd, 4th, and 5th, you got the White Sox in town. By the way, the Grand Prix is also in town. So it's like the one series we're not going to be able to cover much because we're going to be busy with that. But you're right. You're absolutely right. You have, you know, so many. This is going to be great. You got Verlander versus Chris Sale apparently for the June 4th game.
It's going to be good.
I mean, it could shift and change by then, but that's the projected starters. But no, you're right, and that's the thing. I always go back to when I worked in Lansing in 2012. Fred Heumann, who used to be a Detroit sports reporter at WDIV and here at Channel 7, long time ago. He was my sports director at the time. And in 2012, the Tigers started out like 16-4 or something like that. They were unbelievable.
So hot.
And me and Kevin Gale, who's now calling for the Lansing Lugnuts play-by-play, we were just like, this team is going to win 100 games, like they're going to be fantastic, blah, 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 blah. And Fred said, you guys are crazy. They'll be 25-25 after 50. No, it's 16-4. I'm going, no way they're going to win only 9 more games in the next. Wouldn't you know it? That team, with all the power they had, all the great pitching that they had, all the juice that they had, 25-25 after the first 50 games. I mean, it's like he knew it was going to happen. So here we are. The Tigers are 41-42 after 43. And you got 7 games to go before you're at the 50-game mark. And I think that you look at it as a 50-50-50, and then what do you do with those 10 games, 12 games, the 162? Right. That's kind of where your differentiation is at. Now, you would hope that the Tigers can continue the trend and be trending upwards so that the next 50 games, maybe they go 30-20, or maybe they go 32-18. You know, any one of those combinations above the 500 mark through 100 games of the season is going to put you in a position to contend. Now, if they falter and they go 20-30, or they go 15 and, you know, if they do worse than 50 or 500, then you're starting to think if you're a sell team or if you're a buy team at the trade deadline. See, that's kind of how it goes when you get to that part, because, you know, the All-Star break is basically halfway down the middle, you know, 70-some games into the season, and then you're deciding what you want to do for
Whether
the
you're
rest
buying
of
or
the
selling
season.
come
So
trade deadline time.
I don't mind if the Tigers end up a game or two below 500 here. If they can end up a game or two above 500 after 50, okay, here we go. Got to keep it consistent, and you got to continue to get more from some of your guys. And I'm talking about Pelfrey. I'm talking a little bit about Verlander, and I'm certainly talking about the bullpen. They have to get better. They can't keep giving up late inning, runs and letting teams. Because if you build up a lead, we've seen it before. You build up a lead. I think the Tigers were up 6-1 in that Baltimore game, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look
The
at
one where they won,
the
6-4?
They won 6-5. They gave up.
Yeah, I think they were up 6-0, I believe.
No, the Tigers were down 3-2, 3. They were up 4-3. They were down actually. They came back in the 8th.
What was the game where they went up? I remember I was sitting at home watching it, and the Tigers jumped out to like an 8-0 lead. It may have been last weekend.
Yeah, that was the 10-8 win over Minnesota.
And I'm like, wow, this is great. My mom said, well, they're gonna blow this.
You blew it.
They almost did.
Max, can you fill us in with? I think that the I can't see all of the comments on the Facebook Live. Can you open them up and see all of them? Because I only see 4, but I know there's been more than that.
Let me try. We have a lot of questions coming in.
Seth, you can come in here.
Yeah.
Wave to the people.
Online.
I'm only been able to see these.
Do it this way.
A lot of people are saying the change sparked, or Osmus's tirade sparked the win streak. I'm the guy that doesn't believe that.
This
those
is Seth,
two are
everybody.
related.
Hey, everybody.
All right, let me mute
So
this.
you'll see.
What about you? I mean,
I think
that's like
I think it played a little bit of a I think it played a little
Thank you.
bit of a part. And I think more importantly, this team through that stretch where they were losing games and they were just getting their butts handed to them, they sat there and they held tight as a locker room. So I think what's going on inside that locker room is probably more important than Osmus's tirade. I think his tirade was more frustration because he's in that locker room every single day having to deal with questions like, hey, you're probably going to get fired after this series. How do you feel?
Yeah.
And, that starts to weigh on you after a while. So I think it was a lot of that. On top of it, I think he knows that this team wasn't playing up to where they needed to be. So, yeah, him going out there and him being as demonstrative as he was, so much so that he got a 1-game suspension, which I didn't really understand. Mm-hmm. But being that demonstrative and that angry, I think maybe it kind of sparked the team a little bit. But that being said, you got to look at who they're playing right now. Look at how the bats are coming alive. There's a lot more to this.
Right.
Probably the most important fact that you should probably take out of it, though, is that this ball club held together and they stayed together throughout that impossible stretch where they were losing 11 of 12 games.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And at no point did they turn the finger. They were actually supporting their manager, which I think says a ton about this team right now.
Another question. This is a good question from Rachel. Who will replace Zimmerman if he misses a start? And I think the Zimmerman injury, if he is injured, I mean, even a 15-day DL, that's 3 starts.
Yeah.
And that's
Well,
a big deal.
it's gonna have to be Matt Boyd, Daniel Norris,
It'll probably be Matt
or
Boyd.
Shane Green. But
Shane Green's in. I think he's in A ball right now.
no,
Working,
he just
so.
did one. He did an A-ball stint on Friday night, and apparently he was scheduled to do a AAA rehab start in Toledo. I think tomorrow-ish. Tomorrow, Wednesday, Tuesday, and he might have to skip that and just come right back
up.
to the big leagues. I don't see any problem with that. It was just a blister. It wasn't like a total rehab. But that's one of the reasons why we were kept out of the clubhouse for like 20 minutes yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Usually they let us in pretty much right after the game is over, and we had to wait. So finally, Jeff Rieger of 97 won the ticket. Asked him, any other reason why we were held out here a little longer? He's like, we were just discussing long-term options in case something is wrong with Jordan that we can't see. All right, I want to get to some of these Facebook Live comments.
It's a lot of questions.
Joe, I'm not going to try to attempt the last name, but I'm going to say Joe H. said, who is the Tigers' second best starting pitcher? I still think it's Verlander. Even though the
recently.
win-loss thing isn't going to tell you, and his ERA doesn't really wow you with much, but if he can continue to take more baby steps to the right direction, I mean, he's never going to be that dominant pitcher that goes out there, but yes, he is, because he's been going 7 innings strong. He's gotten into the 8th inning a couple times.
If you
this
look
year.
at his last 3 starts, he's been dominant.
Yes.
He sat there, he sent that tweet out, said, hey, I'm going to be dominant very shortly here. You guys just hang with me. He's come out and he's backed it up. He called a shot. He's backed it up. He looks good. I don't think he'll ever be that Cy Young pitcher like we had a few years ago, but he's going to sit there and he's going to dominate games. Just don't expect him to sit there and gas it up to 102 in the 7th, 8th inning, because I don't think he's got juice like that anymore. But I think he will help carry this team, and he's going to be your second dominant pitcher on this team.
He has to be if this team wants to be a playoff contender. Michael S. Ausmus is making the right moves. Give him credit for wins just as he get blamed for losses. Yes and no. Look, he's going to be scrutinized for all the moves that he makes, regardless if they're right or if they're wrong. But yes, I will agree with you that I don't put a lot of the onus on the problems for the Tigers this year on Brad Ausmus. He has not made more than a handful of really bad blunders, and look, every now and then he's going to think I'm doing the right thing, even if it doesn't turn out or if it is the wrong thing. So there are certain things, but again, you can't blame Ausmus for guys getting picked off at second base for leading off too far. You can't get, you know what I mean? Like
it's so frustrating.
There was 2 on and no outs, and both of the runners got like thrown out the other day, yesterday, and I was just sitting there going, how is this Ausmus's fault? Like, this base running has just been terrible. I mean, if anything, the whatever coach is in charge of the base running should be under some scrutiny for how he's telling the guys to do their business out on the bases. But you can't fault him for Jordan Zimmerman getting hurt. You can't fault him for Miguel Cabrera all of a sudden finding a huge beach ball coming across the plate every time. You know what I mean? Those are types of things that. Now, I think the tirade was helpful. Maybe it was because it got the fans off of his back a little bit to the point where they were like, you know what? I like this guy. He's standing up for our team. He's standing up for, like in the fan perspective.
Well, it's the same
thing. I can buy into that. And the players are going to respond to it because they're going, you know what? This guy's been taken. And they always protect him anyways. No one's throwing him under the bus in the clubhouse. And anyone I've talked to, and I don't think there's been anything written by any of the other writers about anyone not supporting Brad Ausmus. But he certainly goes out there and has, you don't see that anymore in baseball. I mean, when's the last time you really saw an epic tirade anymore because of the replay rule and because of the umpires you don't come out and challenge things like you used to the old days. So now you're back to, kind of politically correct, like, oh, I didn't agree with that call, sir. No, Ausmus went out there, took a stand, and I think for a lot of fans, they saw that and they said, all right, I can back off a little bit, call off the dogs a little bit, and let's see. And now the team's turning around, so the fans are even further pulling back.
I think it's swayed already because when you talk to him in the locker room, and you're there all the time, when you talk to him, he sounds like a cliche machine, and he sounds like a robot. It's very, well, this is what's going on, this. He's very low-key and mellow about everything. So Detroit fans want to see that passion. They want to see that anger. They want to know that you're in the thick of this just like we're in the thick of this.
Right.
We want you to be as upset that you're losing games as we are. And we're calling for your head because
we don't feel it.
Yeah. We need to see you do something.
Now you kind of can.
And he went out there, did it, and like you said, now I think the fans are like, okay, we can take a step back because he's right there with us.
I just don't like that, though. I mean, and I don't think he did it for the fans. I think he did it because he felt like he did it, but I don't.
I think it was just a release for him.
Yeah, I just don't like that fans, that's always something that, especially in baseball, every fan wants the epic tirade, and we don't know what goes on behind the scenes and closed doors. He could be going off on the team left and right, and then just being as you said, a cliche machine in front of the media. But all I thought of when that happened was when Jim Leland went off, I don't know, in 2008, 9, whenever, in the locker room. But he went off to reporters about how the team was playing like crap and everything else, and then they started streaking after. But I think that, just for me, I think it's overrated. Now, I don't know. I think the fans look too much into it. You know what I mean?
No.
You don't?
I don't know what you mean. I mean, you're getting a response, like you said, like Adam said, it's a release for Brad, but it's also like, look, I'm not saying this is going to change. This one instance is going to change how they play, or they're going to see the ball better across the plate. They're not going to play better defense or pitch better or more strategic. All I'm saying is that Brad Ausmus was under a lot of pressure. We were on Ausmus watch last Monday. I
thought after that Orioles series, I thought for sure he was getting canned.
We thought that he was going to get fired on the road.
Yeah.
Al Avila had to come out and kind of back him. He said he's our manager right now.
Yeah.
He never said in the future for this season. Right now, he's our manager and we're going to back him. We all thought, this hammer's coming down anyways.
Done. Yeah.
But No, and so he has that little outburst, and he kind of shows the passion. I don't think fans are going to say they're playing better because the manager went off, Max.
No,
I simply think that it wasn't a bad thing that's what happened.
No, and I'm not saying it is a bad thing. I do think there are fans that will say that that's why they're playing better, and I think a lot of those fans will look at the same thing I talked about with Jim Leland. But I think for the most part, I honestly think it's just the schedule's worked out in their favor. They lost 11 of the last 12, and then now, you played Minnesota, and then you played Tampa, and now you play Philly, who is the better team they're going to play over the next 9 games, because after Philly they play Oakland, who is Oakland is 19 and 26, and then after Oakland they play Anaheim, who is 20 and 24.
Mm-hmm.
So they're looking. I mean, if there's a time to lose Jordan Zimmerman, I guess it's when
right
you're going
now.
to be playing crappy teams.
On top of it, with the Oakland series, they miss Sonny Gray because he's injured, so that helps out. But you're right, the schedule does help. I think Austin's losing it a little bit. I don't know if it sparked the team. You're right. It's not going to sit there and make Miguel Cabrera's at-bats that much better. He's not, like you said, going to see the ball better. The pitching staff's not going to sit there and deliver more strikes or gas up their fastball a little bit more. But I think it just is one of those things where it pulls a team together. It's one of those little nuances that a lot of times the guys in the locker room don't even realize it's happening. It just occurred. Now what happens is the locker room's a much tighter place. Everybody feels like they've got everybody's back now. And it's just it's a better place to go to work. It's a better place to go do things, and you don't necessarily feel that pressure. So when a guy like a Miguel Cabrera, a guy like a Steven Moya is up to bat,
right.
A Victor Martinez, they can sit there. They don't have that pressure that hey, we've got to hit this ball, otherwise, something bad's going to happen. They're not gripping the club too tight.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it just kind of helps alleviate some of that pressure a little bit.
And so the rant I was talking about, Jim Leland. And this is what I mean with fans thinking it makes a difference. 2 emails. 2006, the rant that propelled them to the World Series.
2006.
Yeah. So that's when they.
That was
went
like
on
they
that
went
rant,
on.
and
They were in Chicago and they ended up losing, I think, those 3 games straight.
And he went crazy.
He went nuts.
And fans have always said that's one of the reasons why they made the World Series, because he went crazy and lit a fire under their bottoms, and that's what I meant by the fans.
All right, let's shift gears from Tigers for a little bit. I wanted to talk about this for a while. I did a little bit on the Sports Cave yesterday, but the NBA playoffs are going on right now. If you still have Tigers questions, concerns, or things that you want, actually, before we move on from that, let me check my poll here, because I listed a couple of reasons why.
Should have retweeted you. I didn't know you did a poll.
You can retweet it now.
I will.
The weekly sports chat is back. I asked, what is the main reasons for the Tigers' success with our 40 votes that we've got so far? 43% say the schedule, 18% say overall plays better, 39% say baseball being baseball. And I think that's the main thing that everyone wants to go, oh, well, it's Cameron Maybin. Oh, well, it's Brad Ausmus's tirade. Oh, well, it's the schedule. Guys, again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. 50, 50, 50. What you do with the other 12 is basically what's going to determine whether or not you make the playoffs or not. It seriously is that slim of a margin. Teams are making wild cards that are that are 500 teams.
Right.
A couple games above 500 gets you into a wild card spot in most seasons. So baseball is baseball. It's a numbers game. It has been for over 100 years. You can look at things that spark, and yes, they are important. You can't say that they're not important. But at the same time, the Tigers are going to probably have another losing streak of 6 or more games. It's just the way that it is.
So with you saying that baseball is baseball, and I believe that as well. It's one of the weirdest sports where you can just look at something in March, April, and then come September, it's totally different because there's always that correction. That being said, do you see Justin Upton getting his correction anytime soon? Because that guy can't seem to swing a baseball bat. He looks like he belongs on the Minnesota Twins right now.
Right. He can't. He's getting a little bit better. But yeah, you'd think that if he's a career
It's like a 280,
yeah,
285
280 hitter, you'd think that he'd get it. And remember this as well. Baseball is a game of failure. If you 3 out of 10 times you go up, you're
successful. Yeah, you're great. You're a great hitter.
It was a great reminder when I did that. I tried out for the U.S. Pro Baseball League, that new Utica like independent league that's launching on Memorial Day. I went and did a tryout, and I got with the hitting coach, and I'm terrible at baseball.
Was it for the Unicorns?
Which
I think might be one of the greatest mascots.
I was hoping I was going to make the Utica Unicorns if they were.
What are they? It's like
the Beavers, the Unicorns,
or the Bloomfield Beavers, and
yeah, I don't know.
Something else.
It's something else. But anyways, I never really played. I played little league like t-ball and like one pitching machine. I never played live pitching because I hated baseball that much. I got out of it. So I
would have pegged you as a baseball player.
Oh no! I hate baseball. I hate baseball. Anyways, I did a feature where I went and tried out for the team. And the guy is telling me how to swing a bat. And it's just totally like unorthodox and like, oh God, I don't know what I'm doing. And he basically said, he's like, look, I've coached in the pros, I've played, in the minor leagues, like this game is built upon failure. And then I felt how much failure I had that day. And he's like, you did a nice job. I'm like, wait a minute. He's like, yeah, you saw the ball, you hit the ball a couple times really well, you fielded things, you had one nice throw. I mean, the throwing thing was different, but that offensively, 3 out of 10 times you're going to be successful.
A career 300 hitter is a Hall of Famer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's how hard this game is. So it is one of those things where try to keep it in perspective. I think sometimes because the game is, you look at each game, fans look at each game as like, oh, they're going to win, they're going to win, they're going to win, they're going to win. Well, and it just doesn't work that way. You want to see your team have more success than failure, but again, 50% of the time you're going to lose. It's what you do with kind of the other handful of games you have left that'll determine.
And it's such a long season. I mean, you're not even a quarter. We're probably a little over a quarter of the way through the season now. There's just so many games left.
40. Yeah, that's just over a quarter.
Detroit Don just got in and said, Justin, can you please stop tweeting your love of Pittsburgh? This is Detroit. Go Tampa Bay. I'm gonna do something that a lot of fans are gonna be mad about.
What?
I'm rooting for Pittsburgh in this series.
So am I.
My hate for Tampa Bay is so real after these last 2 seasons that I'm rooting for
But don't
Pittsburgh.
you love Stevie Y?
No.
Don't you want good things for him?
I don't want Stevie Y to be successful in Tampa. And I hate Tampa so much I'm rooting for Pittsburgh. I'm rooting for the Blues altogether.
That's who I want to win.
Yeah,
but I'm rooting for Pittsburgh over Tampa Bay.
Is it Detroit Don or Dan?
Detroit Don.
Detroit Don. I like Pittsburgh, man. I'm sorry. I love the city. I like the teams. I worked there for a couple of years.
He loves Sid the Kid.
Sidney Crosby is one of the most underrated, nice guys out there, and he's one of the most talented players ever. He is. He is. If you throw away all of your hatred for his off the, you guys.
He's also one of the biggest whiners, biggest crybabies, and is a total jerk on the ice.
And he's also the most harassed player consistently for 60 minutes a game.
Because he makes his case that much worse for himself.
He
does.
He does. If you ever watched a full Penguins game and you watch Crosby close up for the entire game, no one gets held more, no one gets interfered with more, no one gets. Don't interrupt me when I'm making my point because you clearly don't even want to listen to the facts. You just want to say that the guy gets held, interfered with, cross-checked, slashed consistently throughout the game when he's off the puck. This is when the refs aren't watching. No player endures the type of harassment that Sidney Crosby does, and he still produces. He hasn't in the playoffs. There's a big knock on him, but he is consistently. Watch the next Penguins game. Watch it. Watch Crosby, and he is just always getting the worst.
I will never say that he is not a talent. I think he's an exceptional talent. If he wore a winged wheel, everybody in the city would love him. You would love him. And no, you can't say you wouldn't, because you would. But it doesn't change the fact that he's a whiner, he's a crybaby. And I love when Claude Giroux, a few years ago in the playoff series, totally smoked him. I love the Philly Penguin series. It's great.
Yeah, well, the Philly series is butt because Philly is butt. so I can say butt on TV or on the internet, right?
You can say a lot of things.
Yeah, right. Butt.
You could probably say worse.
Oh, we can really get after it here. Okay, so anyways, my Pittsburgh passion ain't going anywhere. So sorry, Don. But I do love Detroit. I mean, come on, I grew up here. These are my first teams. Pittsburgh is my 1A. It's fine. It's no big deal. Don't hate.
Does that make Detroit your 1B?
No.
It's your
They're number one.
Detroit's number one.
Number one and 1A. Okay, so we're going to move on to the Pistons chatter I wanted to get into because I think it's interesting and it's a fun debate. It was brought up on Ryan and Rico earlier this week. Are the Pistons the second best team in the Eastern Conference? Now, we all know, no, statistically they weren't. They were the 8th best team, and they lost in a sweep to the number 1 seeded Cavaliers. But, man, watching them play Atlanta, the Cavs playing Atlanta, the Cavs playing Toronto now. Now, Toronto does put a little bit of a bubble burst by winning Game 3, but they beat them handedly in Game 1 and Game 2. They swept the Hawks, and they never really had a problem with that series. They had a little bit of problem with the Pistons.
Detroit played them tough. They played them really
physical,
really
it's
hard.
a fun debate to have. So the question that I will pose to you, and I will pose to all of you out there as well, is how far away are the Pistons from beating the Cavaliers in a 7-game series? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years? I mean, that's where the next step is, because obviously this year is over and there's nothing you can do about it. You can look at the games. They lost 2 games by 3 points, and they had a chance to win it in Game 4 with a 3-point shot that Reggie Jackson thought he was fouling. He wasn't, but he missed it. But that's the type of thing. They had leads going into the fourth quarter, and I think 3 of the games. The only one they got beat by 14 points is the game that kind of got away from them. But
was that Game 3, I think?
Yeah, Game 3 was the one where they kind of wet the bed.
Yep.
But other than that, I mean, 2 games in Cleveland, and the Game 4 were all Pistons were into the very, very end. So that's the question I have for you, and your answer is how far away?
Well, giving the criteria that you gave me, because I really want to say they're 1 player away, I would say they're probably 2 years away from beating them in a series. And I think their big bugaboo is consistency, and that's why they finished 8th in the East this season, because they have trouble finding that consistency from game to game to game. And over the course of an 82-game season, you've seen that play out. Andre Drummond definitely has to work on his free throws. If he's going to get that max deal and he's going to be that guy for this team, he's got to get that figured out. Whether he's shooting them grandma style or he goes to some kind of free throw wizard and he teaches them how to. I mean, honestly, he's got to hit. I'll take 47%.
Yeah, right.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's not a lot. I just need you to be a little bit better. But I think consistency is the big issue with this team. I think if they can get some more depth coming off that bench, Stanley Johnson did a great job. I think he's going to be a very good player in the next 2 seasons. They've got pieces, and I think these pieces are gelling well, and I like where Stan Van Gundy's taking this. They just need to be more consistent, and they need a little bit more depth coming off that bench. One
of the youngest teams starting rosters in the league, which is an encouraging sign. I really like the fact that you're right. They're a piece or 2 away from, and then another year or so. I mean, I think the Pistons next year, my expectations go up to them being a 5 seed or better in the East.
I can see that.
Because a lot of teams are going to be
absolutely
different. A lot of teams are going to, there's a lot of free agent movement this summer. There's a lot of the teams in the East that are going to look differently. The Heat, certainly one of those teams. What are they going to do with Wade? Is Chris Bosh going to play again?
He's going to be okay.
Boston has got a nice number 3 pick, so they're going to probably be a little bit better. They got a young core too, so watch out for the Celtics. It'll be interesting to see what LeBron does. I mean, LeBron may get Dwayne Wade to come to Cleveland, and who knows what'll be, the situation there. But a lot of fluctuation will be happening within the East, whereas the Pistons, they're going to be what they were this year, better a year, more years seasoned, another offseason working together. Plus, they're going to probably get 1 free agent, and they're going to get their 2 draft picks. And I think that if they can get a guy that can play a couple of positions. And it's going to sound so homerish, and I don't want to.
Can I ask you the question?
Sure, go ahead.
Because me and the doc talked about this on the podcast.
Yeah.
So, I think they're 18? Or 18 or 19?
I thought they were 16.
I think they're drafting 18 or 19. Anyways, with their draft pick, if Denzel Valentine's there,
take him
all day. I would lose my mind. I would be so excited if they could get him, because that guy can basically play every single position on the floor.
And you put him on the bench, so he's your start.
Exactly.
He's your first off the bench, second off the bench, and you put him in a position
and
where
he can play multiple positions, and he doesn't mind playing defense.
He can run.
He instantly makes his team better.
He's 18. They have the 18th pick. 18th. There's no way Denzel Valentine will be available at 18.
You think he'll be gone before then?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't think he makes it 18.
There's no way that he'll be available at 18.
Top 10?
Yeah. Well, from what a lot of scouts are recently saying after his combine workout, and I mean, everyone passed on Draymond Green. Now, Draymond Green's bigger than Denzel Valentine and can play 3 positions, 3, 4, 5, whereas Valentine can play 1, 2, 3. So, do you want a guard, versatile guard, or a versatile forward? That's the difference between the two of them. But his basketball IQ is better than Draymond's. And Draymond has an incredible basketball IQ, except when he's kicking guys in the nuts. But, it is what it is. But that type of talent will be gobbled up by somebody. I mean, look, he's not going to go top 5. He probably won't go to New Orleans no, probably not at 6. There's other players out there with the value. Denver doesn't need another guard. They got a million guards. Maybe Sacramento that's the team that I think a lot of the mock drafts I've seen Sacramento taking him. Toronto, I mean, they could probably use a guy off the bench with the guards that they have now. But then you got Milwaukee, who has just so many forwards. I feel like they just play 5, 6, 8 guys. And then Orlando, who's just stockpiling all sorts of different types of talent.
They need talent.
Utah, Phoenix, Chicago. I mean, all of these teams are just that is a fit.
So let me ask you guys this question then. So you have 18, and I believe it's the 49th overall pick. Do you package your 2 picks and possibly a player to move up into that top 10 to go get him?
No.
You don't? Because I think he's that one guy in this draft class because he can do multiple things. He can play multiple positions. He can instantly make an impact on this team and make it better.
I think Van Gundy knows what he wants to do already, though, and I think he knows it because he knows what Van Gundy knows what he's doing, and he's building what he wants. As for what you asked earlier, I think the Pistons, especially if LeBron stays and the Cavs get another player,
somebody else,
I think the Pistons are still 4 to 5 years away from beating Cleveland.
Wow, that's too long.
It's too long, but they looked good playing Cleveland, but then they got swept.
Isn't the book out on how to beat Cleveland, though? If you can take away Kyrie or you can take away Kevin Love, I mean, it puts all the onus on LeBron. And if you frustrate LeBron, he basically goes and he pouts and sulks.
He does, but it's hard.
I mean, that's their big 3.
I think you have to take away both of those guys. Kyrie is the one who kind of stirs the pot with everything. I think you have to take away Kyrie and Kevin Love. I don't think you can beat them by just taking away one player. And the problem is if you're taking away both of them, then they have enough players who can do everything else. And I think it's really hard to beat the Cavs. I think it's hard to beat the Cavs. And now 4 to 5 years is what I think, but I think it's possible to do it within the next 2 to 3. Mm-hmm. But if I'm looking realistically at it, I do think it's probably 4 years away.
I think that's too long. They'll be better than that. And look, Stan Van Gundy's not putting a plan in place to be competitive in 4 to 5 years.
No.
He's being competitive next year. And again, I think they're a top 5 seed next year in the Eastern Conference. That should be the bar that they should set for themselves. Look, they were only a couple games off for being the 6th this year. So you'd think that they could escalate their game throughout the regular season to get to that point. And it depends on who they get and what kind of moves they make. Now, there's not going to be some blockbuster trade to get somebody or some huge name to come here. It's going to be through the draft, and there's going to be a sneaky free agent move like Tobias Harris. Who would have thought that he would have the impact that he had? It'll be a sneaky. So could they move up in the trade or in the draft through trade? Maybe. Stan Van only probably thinks he needs a player from the draft. So 49th overall, those players usually are D-League development guys anyways. So sure, if they think that they can get to the top 10 or if Sacramento wants to move back to 18 and get 49, so they have 4 picks total for the draft, maybe that's something that they do. Stan Van will one thing rest assured, Stan Van Gundy will scour the league for options of what he's going to do with the 18th pick, whether it be take a guy, move down, move up, or just stay put, stand pat, and take what the best is available for your team. But I certainly think that Denzel Valentine's interesting. Deonta Davis from Michigan State, he's a projected top 10 pick. I hated that he left the team simply because Michigan State would have been so good if he would have stayed next year with all the young talent that they have coming in. But the upside that he has, look, he's going to get paid, and one of the best things you can do for your program is constantly put guys in the pros. Right. So that makes sense that he did that. But I don't know. I think it's interesting. 4 to 5 years max, huh? I want to put some some slushy bets on that.
I wasn't trying to be a hater. I was just trying to be.
No, I mean,
that one. But the people online are calling me Hater Max again and asked if the vacation changed my my mood, and I want to remind them I did not go on vacation. Justin went on vacation. So.
It's May. It's gonna be May.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah. All right. Well, do you have any other boiling topics, Adam, that you would like to contribute on this wonderful fine Monday, or can I go outside and enjoy the weather?
You want to talk about Pavel and the
yes, very good point.
His supposed KHL contract.
Let's hit that up for the last 15 minutes of the webcast here. Pavel Datsyuk, bronze medal with the Russian team in the World Hockey Championships, beating USA. USA on the outside of that.
USA is always in the front, though, because America.
I don't know.
They get a lot of no medals for that then. So, but Pavel Datsyuk watch is officially on here in Detroit. Here's the deal. There was a report out of a publication in Russia saying that Datsyuk had agreed to sign a contract with the KHL. I think it's the Konstantin Hockey League.
Continental Hockey League.
Continental, yeah, something like that. Oh, there it is. The Continental Hockey League with a K. Continental with a K. His agent came out and said that is not true. Pavel's still making up his mind. He has 1 year left on his deal with the Detroit Red Wings. Apparently, they're going to meet. Red Wings brass and Pavel are going to meet in the next 2 weeks. I believe it is in the next 2 weeks to decide whether or not he's coming back to Detroit for his final year of the contract or going on. And here's the rub of it. I had kind of already said, all right, goodbye. Thanks for the memories. Like 2 cups, awesome, tons of numbers. Not going to get your jersey retired, but you'll be one of the great Red Wings that go up on the wall in the locker room. Mm-hmm. Cool. This team, are they going to be better without him? No. The answer is no.
No, they're not going to be better without him.
They're not going to be better without him.
No, they're not going to be better without him.
Because you're not going to free up that money because you're already giving away $7.5 million towards your cap.
You're not. No. They're not going to be better.
If you can find somebody to trade, this is what made me mad about what Ken Holland came out and said a little bit early as in the playoffs when they were winding down there. He doesn't want to trade Pavel's contract because you can trade it to a team that needs to get to the basement of the league. So if you can move that comes off your cap then, all right? Because now that the other team has to absorb that. If you have that extra $7.5 million, there's not a free agent out there that you can go and add to this team.
No, there is, for sure.
Let's look at it this way. Tampa Bay is doing everything Tampa Bay is doing right now without Steven Stamkos. You got 7.5, plus you sit there, you're going to get whatever Brad Richards had, whatever Kyle Quincy had, you're going to get all that money. You can sit there, you can go out and add a guy like Steven Stamkos, and you mean to tell me that Steven Stamkos in his prime isn't better than Pavel Datsyuk, dwindling down of his career?
No, and there's proof to that, but Red Wings management hasn't yet given me much faith that something like that.
Me neither. But
if you follow that plan, absolutely. If you say that, okay, we're going to stockpile all this cap space by getting rid of his contract, and we already got rid of Richards, and we already got rid of Quincy, cool. You're absolutely spot on with that. They can go spend that money elsewhere.
I still don't think you get a player to replace the Pavel Datsyuk impact, though. I still think that.
What was he really impacting, though?
He still led the team in points, guys. Come on.
But here's the deal: you can be on any team, and it doesn't matter. Somebody's got to put the puck in the net. It's like the whole thing with Stephen Weiss. Stephen Weiss led the Florida Panthers. They brought him here, and what was he? He didn't have to do anything.
Well, it's all about fit, too, and that's another one of the things with hockey. You play hockey, I play hockey, Max watches enough hockey to know that it's all about fit, and if you don't if you don't fit in with the team, you're playing on the type of style of playing.
Absolutely right.
So, Pavel Datsyuk is very productive in this type of offensive system with what we've seen him do. Led the team in points. So, while he does fall apart in the playoffs, very much Sidney Crosby-esque, he still, you're right to the point where somebody has to put the puck in that, somebody has to put up points. But why just say best point per contributor, bye. We don't need you. We'll be better off without you. Yes, you're going to find other guys out there to bring in, but the Red Wings aren't going to win the Stanley Cup next year. They're not going to win it the year after that. So I don't know. I changed my tune on this a little bit, and I thought that I was ready to just say, thanks for the memories, goodbye. 3 assists in the championship game. He's playing against top world competition. Like, he still has some juice left. He still has some life left.
Well, he's going
it's
to
only
Russia.
1 more year.
I feel like when Justin breaks up with his girlfriend, she's like, "Oh,
It's-
hey, thanks for the memories. Oh, but wait, maybe one last time."
So it's not. It's
That's
not
so true.
Well, like when you said Justin, you said he still has a few more years left. I mean, that was never the question, whether or not he has enough left. It was whether or not he wanted to leave early, because he's going to Russia to play hockey and be close to his family. It's not.
I think he's gone too. The players have all basically, they had the signed jersey, they had the whole goodbye. It's the Calvin Johnson thing all over again. We kind of knew, and they were sitting here debating, well, he should come back. Well, what if he comes back? He's not coming back. I'm just saying I'm not as willfully casting him aside as I once was.
That makes sense.
And when the season ended and I saw his playoff production, I said, good riddance to bad rubbish. You were great 10 years ago. Now you're kind of, a bum. Well, now I'm kind of going, well, I'm not ready. Goodbye, but you're not quite as bad as I thought that you. Recently, more recently. Again, he led the team in the points, and I think that's the biggest thing that you have to hang your hat on. And that's why I asked the question, and you made a very good counterpoint to that about the whole get a bunch of money and then go find somebody like a Stamkos or like a ton of, those free agents every year. This is a good year for free agents too, so they can really recraft the Red Wings front 2 lines this offseason. Ken Holland's got his work cut out for him. There's no doubt about that, but I refuse to accept less. More. Less is more.
Less is more?
No, it's not.
More is less?
More is less. Any questions? Anybody get anything in with the Red Wings chatter, or can we?
I think Blashill's overmatched. Should he be fired if the Wings don't make the second round next season?
What?
No.
Come on, it's his second year.
Everybody want to blame the coach.
I just don't understand. Sometimes, I love you Detroit fans, but I just don't understand you. Why do you want to fire the guy after year number 2? He's just coming in and he got you to the playoffs this year. Yeah, it was ugly. It didn't really work out great. But come on. That team that he's coaching isn't all that in a bag of chips. This isn't, 2002, where they had all-stars up and down. I mean, your fourth line consisted of what, was that the grind line then? Mm-hmm. It was Maltby and McCarty and Draper.
Yeah, but wasn't that before the cap era too?
Yeah. No, it was. Because 2004 was cap era.
Yeah.
So, you just can't go out there and spend a fortune and get all the guys you want. You gotta bring them up through the ranks here.
There's a cap for a reason.
I just don't understand. Like, why do you want to fire that guy? What really makes me mad is why wasn't Anthony Mantha up? I thought was prime time for him.
He'll be up next year.
Are you sure? Because Ken Holland was pretty critical of him.
Yeah, remember that comment I read where it's like, I don't know why fans think he's going to be doing so much here.
Yeah, he was pretty critical, and when he was
for
here, that power play was scoring goals.
Year, he was critical.
And then they go into the playoffs, and it's like donuts everywhere.
Donuts. Zeros.
Big zeros.
All right, we're going to shut down shop here on the Detroit Weekly Sports Chat here at WXYZ.com, Facebook Live. We'll be doing that again. That seemed like it was pretty good. I'm giving it a couple of thumbs up there, Seth, for that. Comments were great from all of you who watched or are currently watching. We appreciate that as well. Enjoy the sunshine. It's going to be a great week. Get out to a couple of Tigers games. You got tonight, tomorrow, Wednesday. They go on the road for a little bit, then they're back the week after, I believe.
Look at that picture right there. What color does that shirt look?
It's a red
That's
shirt.
orange, bro!
It's a red shirt. That's a red shirt.
I think the shirt is red. Everyone in the office, 90% say it's orange, 10% say it's red. I wish we would have gotten into this earlier. We probably should have done that as the poll. We should have done that as the poll. Is this shirt red or orange?
Red or orange?
Because I think it's red.
That's a red shirt.
Max thinks it's red.
It's
Seth
orange.
says it's orange. Adam says, so it's 50-50 split on my shirt is red or orange. This color looks more on the orangish side.
It's a yellow red. It's a yellowish red.
I was going to go red.
It's a beautiful
orange,
Michigan. It was a beautiful Michigan sunset.
That's orange, bro.
Red sky at night, sailor's delight. All right, we're going to shut things down. Have yourself a great day, great week. We will not be here next Monday. Programming note for you. Memorial Day. Enjoy the weekend. Hopefully the weather is not complete washout. Looks like there's some thunderstorms and stuff. Like I said, I'll have a Cameron Maben story for you at 6 o'clock during the Sportscast with Mr. Brad Galli. And that should do it for us. We'll see you in a couple of weeks right here on WXYZ Sports Chat. Have a good day.